Hello, folks. Welcome to the Genuinely Interested podcast. I'm your host, Roy Bensby. This podcast is an opportunity for me to speak with some of the most interesting people I know, either with amazing talents or achievements or unbelievable life stories or just invaluable insights into areas which they have dedicated their lives to studying. I sit down with these amazing individuals from across the planet and I try to ask them questions that will hopefully help you, the listener, extract something valuable or learn something new or just hopefully get inspired by. You can find all the episodes for the podcast on all the major podcasting platforms such as iTunes, Spotify, Google, Overcast, iHeartRadio, literally all of them. It's there. If you love the show, if it adds value to your life in any way, shape, or form, please leave reviews on iTunes. It really helps grow the podcast. It puts it up there so more people can see it. You can also find all the episodes and everything else, all the information that's updated regularly on the website, which is roybensv.com, ROYBENTZVI.com. And you can sign up for updates as well. Also been updating the YouTube channel. So I've been uploading old episodes pretty much on a daily basis. So you can find it there. And in the future, I hope to make video podcasting as well. If that's something you guys want to check out and are interested in, please shoot me email. I'd love to hear from you. And also make sure to check out the social media platforms, Instagram and Twitter. I post there daily. And lastly, if you guys want to support and help grow the podcast, please go to Buy Me a Coffee or Anchor or Patreon. It is an endeavor to grow this podcast and make it what it should be. And it takes a village. So I want to thank each and every one of you for listening. I see that there are literally listeners from all over the world in each and every country. So thank you to everyone and on to the show. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for tuning in for yet another great episode. This week, I have Kraig Adams on the podcast. Kraig is a YouTuber. He creates these really amazing, calming, beautiful videos where he does solo hikes across the world. And, places like Colombia, Nepal, a lot of really amazing places here in the US as well. And with a subscriber count that is, I believe it's close to 600,000 strong, which is a solid community of people that love his videos and watch it every time, he posts. He is a bona fide YouTuber. He is also a minimalist, which is something we definitely got into a lot and we discussed it. And he's just got a very fascinating and interesting way of looking at things. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this episode. So without getting too much into the weeds right now in the intro, I believe I said this in earlier episodes, but I'm making a conscious effort to make these intros shorter. That way you guys can dive right into the episode. So without further ado, let me introduce this week's guest. Here is Kraig Adams. Enjoy the episode, everyone.
The Genuinely Interested Podcast.
Hey, Kraig, how you doing?
I'm good. Here in New York City, sipping some coffee, chillaxing.
That's about as good as it gets, man. I, as a former New Yorker, I can say that was probably my favorite part of the day. That 2 hours or so from the moment I get up, I get my cup of coffee, take my dogs for a walk, sit, relax by the computer. After that, it's all downhill.
You do have the accent to match it, I will say. I feel like this is a very New Yorker
So I don't know why people say I have a New Yorker or a New York accent, but I've only been in New York for 8 years.
When I go to London or something, I adopt the accent within 5 minutes of just people talking like that. Wherever I go, I kind of get that a little bit.
Oh,
I'm in Australia.
Morning.
Yeah. It's fun. You miss it? I don't know. We were talking before this about all the coffee shops around New York and whatnot, but yeah.
That's a tough one, It's there's certain elements, certain aspects of New York that I do miss 100%. I don't know if those outweigh the things that I don't miss. If I had to put it on a balance sheet, I think there was more things that I don't miss about it. If you ask my wife, it would be the opposite of that balance sheet. But New York again, from since COVID started, it's changed. But New York it used to be magical. There used to be something magical about it. It's something that you can't really put into numbers and charts and stats. It's an energy that it has about it. I think that's what's attracted people throughout the years to New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like to travel, and I've made the realization that just living in New York City is like you're always on vacation. So the things that most everyone saves up money and then takes off time from work to go do in a far off magical place, like you just kind of live all the time in.
Yeah.
So I like being here.
But for you, it's kind of crazy because what you do is literally 180 degrees. It's the complete opposite of New York City, right? Like you go in these wilderness areas, vast open spaces by yourself, and New York is concrete jungle, 10 million people, rat race, bam, 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 always energy, always on. So why? I would think for someone like you need to go live in like Boulder or like, Tahoe or somewhere, Montana, not New York City.
Life is all about balance. You can only appreciate the highs if you know the lows. And I think being in a place in New York City gives me a profound appreciation for the times when I am alone in the mountains. There's no one around. There's no big skyscrapers. There's no busyness. There's a quiet. I like to be able to compare the two. I don't think I would ever live in the middle of America or the suburbs or the shopping malls area. It's either a big city or completely nowhere for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like I would love, a cabin somewhere in Colorado in the mountains, petting a grizzly bear. Do something.
Everything always looks better though when we're
It does.
thinking about it. Like once you get that cabin, if you're like isolated, I would say probably 1 week before you're like, okay, I hate this. I want to like go back. Like I can't wait to be like surrounded by people and friends and family and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if I would want that 100% of the time. I think, like you said, I think that balance is really good. I do like alone time, but I also love it when I have friends and family around. I think it's all about the balance. Like you can't go full Hemingway up in the, New Hampshire mountains, not seeing anyone for like 3 decades. But I don't know. I feel like New York also, like especially Manhattan, even more, maybe not Brooklyn as much. It's almost like people were not meant to live in that fashion for too long. You know what I mean?
Sure. I'd say you only. What's more important is just being able to choose. Like, if you had to just live in New York and work all the time and do this hustle life nonstop, yeah, you would feel a strong pull to find time to relax and be in nature. But I've designed my life to be constantly peace bringing and natural in a sense. So even though I'm in this crazy busy city, most of my time is spent walking, reading, thinking, eating, drinking, hopefully getting a dog soon, just hanging out with friends and family. So the peace that most people get from like maybe going on a beach and sitting and reading, like I walk in the park and read every day. So I feel like I have best of both worlds here in the city just because I've made it that way. And yeah, sure, when I do want to work for my, my job as a YouTuber, I will take a flight and go hike somewhere or go on a trip. And it's peaceful because I'm alone in nature in the mountains, enjoying my time going at my own speed. But then again, I'm kind of bringing a little piece of the city craziness, hustle, productivity to the mountains because I'm creating a YouTube video. I want things to be as efficient as possible. I want to get the best video, the best experience, package it, and then deliver it to my audience, in the shortest amount of time of me being out there. So it's almost like I brought some nature to the city and I brought some city to the nature, and that balance is working for me.
Yeah. How did this whole thing start? Because again, like it's not like you were raised in Colorado or maybe like a very naturey place. Like you are in New York City. So how did you start to make these videos out in the wilderness, and how did the idea of all these like solo adventures begin for you?
Yeah, I've been documenting my own experiences and the experiences of other people for a while now. Through college, I was recording and shooting weddings for couples.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like making a YouTube video for someone else about their big day and them as the stars, the characters. And then that kind of got old because I'm like, I have a story to say. I'd rather have complete freedom and like, I want to be the star of the show in a sense. So I gave that up, and then started just doing like freelance crew work just to make money. And but always saw YouTube as this exciting thing in the background.
Yeah.
You know, I went to school for television and film arts, but it was really YouTube that was the core of my passion. Like being able to have unlimited freedom to create any type of video I wanted, upload it without needing the permission of anyone else. So I tried all of the little directions I could go. You know, crew work on small projects, crew work on larger, bigger budgets, and like feature films and whatnot. And then the wedding corporate industry. And then I just always came back to this, just shoot it small and then have creative control and make your own YouTube video. Doing travel stuff, doing tutorials, reviews, trying to teach people what it's like to live in New York, vlogging like Casey Neistat, copying him for a bit,
Yeah.
traveling around, trying to be like Los LeBlanc or all of those travel boys going to Bali and whatnot. And it wasn't until I got into nature when I could just go at my own speed, hike, and kind of push my limits as far as like how many miles I could do, what I could eat, and just yeah. Once I got away from people, I was able to like finally make some videos that I enjoyed instead of just trying to copy other people.
Yeah. There's what was your first big like solo hike? What was the first thing you did by yourself?
Yeah. I've been to Peru a couple times, but I was actually talking to my girlfriend yesterday about how crazy it is that I made the commitment to go do a hiking video. And that was in Peru in Choqquequirau outside of Machu Picchu.
Okay.
And it's most people don't realize like a lot of the work is just pulling the trigger on knowing where to go, when, buying the tickets, going to the airport, taking the long flight, getting to the trailhead, sometimes taking like hour 2 to 7 hour bus rides into the mountains to get to this spot. And then you don't even know if the weather is going to be okay. It's like you don't know what type of video, what type of hike it's going to be until you're standing at the foot of the mountains,
Yeah.
because the weather is always crazy and you can't really forecast it online. So half of the work is just getting to the trailhead, and then shooting the video is like, you know, the next phase of that. But that was Peru. I'll probably go back. I've got a flight booked to Peru May 7th. So bigger hikes this time.
And no problem right now with COVID, all these international flights?
So I've been to Colombia, been to Guatemala. Yeah, you just have to look at their restrictions. A lot of them are just getting tested before and after international flights.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the rules are changing like every week. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to book a month out because it could be different by then. So that's why I book pretty close to the date.
Okay. And how was Colombia when you went there? Are they?
Yeah, it was my first time there.
Okay. How's the
Um,
experience?
it was rainy. It was a tough hike. The elevation was pretty intense, but you know, I did a 3 or 4 day hike. In, you know, because you're gaining so much elevation, you start in the rainforest, and then you go through like an alpine tundra and all these different biomes, which was exciting. But it was a lot of work, you know, especially with the extra COVID restrictions. I had to go to a Colombian hospital, like just walk in and figure out, talk to, like, find someone who speaks English, like be the silly American who's like, who can help me? And then get a COVID test, pay for it, and then get to the airport. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I guess when I was doing a little bit of research, I found that there are so many different Craig Adams inspired videos. Are you aware of this trend? I guess, like, first question, are you aware of that trend?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. So a lot of people who are watching the videos, there's a good section of people who are interested in starting their own YouTube channel.
Okay.
And yeah, the silent solo hiking genre is kind of growing, at least from my perspective. And if you search Kraig Adams on YouTube, yeah, there'll just be a list of other people kind of ripping off the style, doing it in their own way, which is cool.
So that's, I guess, my next question. Do you see that as, oh no, they're copying my style, or is it, it's the ultimate form of flattery when someone's trying to copy you?
They can do whatever they want. Yeah. Flattery, sure. I would like to not be motivated by ego, but it kind of happens a bit. It's nice to be stopped by people in public. It's nice to be, validated in the sense that you're doing something that has importance to other people. I don't get upset or anything. I'm not like serving takedown notices for using my template that I invented. No.
Yeah. Well, is that did you invent that type of template? Like, were there not really that many type of, solo hiking, these type of quiet videos that you produced before you came along?
I don't know, and I don't care. And from my perspective, you can only judge it from what you know. And I am not a watcher of hiking videos, so I have no idea what the landscape looks like. Yeah, I have little interest or knowledge about the hiking community in general.
Okay.
I just know more about my own community, and I guess that's fine. I don't really care what other people do. Yeah, I'm just more focused on my own work.
So you don't really consume hiking videos on YouTube per se?
No. The stuff I watch is a little different. I think I have my subscriptions public on the channel.
So what do you watch? What's like something that
comedy?
Comedy
I like
stuff?
Nakey Jakey. I can just like spit out some like random YouTubers' names, but most of the people are not going to know these people.
Nakey Jakey.
Internet Historian is classic. He's big. He's definitely pop at this point. Yeah. Random stuff like that. Right. Donkey. No. Yeah. See, it's like that's the wonderful thing about YouTube. Like,
YouTube is amazing. YouTube really is amazing. Yeah, I would. I've reduced my time on it because I used to go down rabbit holes, and their algorithm is so good that the suggested videos be like, oh shit, like this one, they know what you want already. I think better than all the other social media platforms, they're really good at figuring out what you like and their suggested videos. And then later on, when you come back, they already do like the whole algorithm figured out all the videos you watch, and it's really, really good at keeping you on. So I've been like making a concerted effort to reduce my time, because otherwise, efficiency down the toilet as far as like productivity goes.
Yeah, it's mostly escape. I feel like you have to make a concerted effort to actually gain a lot of value from watching YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. But for most people, it's just they're bored. They want some inspiration. They want escape from real life. So, yeah.
When you go on these solo hikes, is that a concerted effort? Like, do you want to go by yourself, or do you prefer, if you could, would you rather go in a group or in a couple? Like, what's your preference as far as that goes?
Yeah, I like being by myself. It's much easier to shoot the video, and it's much easier to go on the trip. Yeah, it would be difficult for me to go with friends or family, but it would be possible. It would just be more difficult to shoot the video. And if I went with like random people or a group or subscribers, like that would probably be a nightmare for me. I would hate that.
So you like the quiet, you like the reset of alone time out in the mountains or wherever it is?
Yeah, I've practiced the art of being alone, and I think I've gotten over a threshold where it's not, I'm getting more out of it than I'm losing. So it's kind of a superpower to turn things that would like upset you or, things that you don't like into something positive. Like I gain energy and clarity from being alone, where if you placed most people in a woods overnight, they would kind of give up and leave before. It's just because they're not used to being alone. And I think it's a good thing to practice, being alone and being lonely and just getting over that fact. And I feel like most people are stronger once they do.
Yeah. Did you have an initial fear that you kind of had to get over? Because even for me, like I love nature. I try to go hiking, at least once a week. Much smaller hikes than what you're doing, but I've been out in the dark a couple of times, and even though I love nature and even though I enjoy it and I do see all the benefit, there is a part of you that's like, ooh, that's scary. What's that sound in the woods, right? Like there is that. Are you over that, or is that something that still exists, or is that a work in progress, or does that never actually leave? I don't know.
I prepare for the actual dangers, where there's bears, temperature, weather, food, water. All of that's pretty straightforward for me.
Hmm.
The more difficult things are the fears, the unknowns within your own mind. I think that's what I'm practicing at. And I think most people, would have a problem with it. It's not only being alone, but for some of these hikes, you just don't have cell service. You can't, unless you download stuff. Like most people are not okay being alone, and most people are not okay having the internet or some kind of pacifier like media like a YouTube video downloaded to watch, or an audiobook or something like that. So if you put the two together, being alone and not having like the comforts of society, I guess a lot of people freak out. So practicing both of those are what I'm interested in. I'm okay with it. Yeah. I'm not, like I said, I think it's good if you can experience the rock bottom foundation of most of these things and be okay. Like if I had to sleep like in the mud with no tent or anything, in the cold, in the rain, like once you do that, it makes you realize that you can do it and survive, and that gives you a confidence going forward. So if you can spend 5 days without talking to anybody, I think it gives you more appreciation for the time that you do talk to people. And I think that aspect, just in every part of my life, is what I'm exploring as a minimalist. Just experiencing like the lows so I can appreciate the highs.
Yeah, that's interesting. I get what forms of minimalism do you kind of try to live by?
Yeah. I explain minimalism as testing. You, instead of just taking things as the way they are, you are skeptical and you question things, and then you test what value it brings in your life, and then you're able to place those things on a spectrum of what you value. And once you have that spectrum of like, I really love coffee, but I don't like this, like you can raise the bar, raise your standards, and just live a more focused, have more control over your life, I would say, is the output. Yeah.
Yeah.
But minimalism always starts with the physical, like getting rid of things and thinking, does this thing bring me value or not? Placing it in a spectrum. And then people down the road, like year 2, 3, you start to expand minimalism to different aspects of your life, like social. Like, does this person bring me value? And like, how much do I care about this person? Or like projects minimalism, and then just your digital space and how much distraction things are bringing you online. Communication, just the inbound uh, media diet, just what brings you value, how much, and how do you place it alongside other things? Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a minimalist?
It's a tough one. I would consider myself striving for that. I think so. I just started reading Essentialism maybe a couple of days ago. So it's similar to this, where he talks about, and again, like because I just started, maybe there's more to it. But essentially, in the beginning, he's saying, don't spread yourself too thin as far as what you put your energy into. Like, don't have 10 different projects, or, don't put your time into all these different friends that may not contribute to your overall well-being. So I think in that sense, it's kind of similar. He's saying, like, put 100% of your energy into this one thing and excel at that, rather than putting, 10% of your energy into 10 different things. Right. And I think that's something I'm very attracted to, because I do spread myself thin. Because I'm interested in a lot of different things, I do tend to spread myself pretty thin and do a lot of different things. And sometimes those things suffer because I don't have 100% of my energy and focus to put into that. So in that sense, I think that's something I'm working towards. So yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember reading that book. It was a while back. I'm getting to the point where I need to reread books multiple times before I actually get any of the information. Maybe I need to read slower, but that's good that you're listening to that. Yeah. Do you read physically or do you listen with audiobook?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that we need to, because you touched upon this. There's so much content out there, right? Between Clubhouse and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and podcasts and list goes on, right? And actual physical books. So much content, it's literally impossible to consume even a percent of it. And I'm finding that instead of trying to find new things to listen to, I'm just repeating and listening over to the things that I think are already good to really kind of distill those ideas in my head. So if I'm listening to Naval, or if I'm listening to or reading Essentialism, like if that really resonates with me, that book, I think I would rather read that again rather than go on to a new book with new ideas by someone. Because there's only so many good ideas out there, right? It's not like there's millions of good ideas. There's only so many. So why am I going to go and search for all these new ones when I've already read really good ones and just try to get as much as I can from them,
Yep. Modern problems are ones of abundance. We have too many options, too many choices. So that's why I like minimalism, because it helps me make sense, helps me make better decisions. And, that's the goal of algorithms. So, it's probably the biggest thing we're all worrying about, how to make the correct decisions.
Yeah.
The big ones, who to marry, where to live, how to work, and all the small little life decisions you make every single day.
Do you attribute your success to that type of thinking? It seems like you're very honed in. You're very focused on what you need to do. And I wonder if you kind of figured out what the secret sauce is, as far as, because YouTube's as a whole, it's not as easy as people may think. I don't know what people think, but it's not easy. So, there's a whole process, right? You need to get people to click on the thing. Then they have to watch it, they have to subscribe, and then they have to potentially, hopefully, further engage through Patreon or all these other different platforms out there. And it seems like you have a good group of followers. So, how's that process has been for you, finding what people like?
Yeah, it's hard to give advice to this question because I feel like I've gone through different eras, and at different points of my life, some types of help was more helpful than others. And I can't give one recipe. Right now, I'm going through this weird balance of indifference is really helping me. And I'm trying to kind of foster a healthy level of indifference, as weird as that sounds. Realizing that metrics, view counts, subscriber numbers, even comments, chat, all of that is feedback content in a sense in one bucket. It's different densities of feedback content, and trying to figure out what is actually helpful or not, and kind of not caring what anyone thinks in a sense, and kind of fostering that indifference because it helps me out. It helps me make what I want to make and not listen to other people, not let the criticism or negative feedback affect me as much. And also, it's this opposite side of the coin. It's not letting the positive, the people who are cheerleading or telling me that I'm doing a good job, not letting that affect my work just as well. Everyone always talks about the haters, but you only care about the hate because your ego is puffed up by the positive things that people talk about. And sure, everyone is the cliche that, you'll have 99 good comments and one bad comment can ruin your day. But it only ruins your day because the other good ones puffed you up already and set this level of bar of excellence and, this vision of yourself, the story that you're telling yourself that I'm this good YouTuber making these beautiful videos, and that's inflated by all these good things, and then that one bad one pops that balloon. But it's like, yeah, both sides are the issue. So just not caring, having indifference towards all of that feedback will help me do what I want to do and not let that be affected by sponsors, by people's comments, by trends, by other YouTubers, like not watching other hiking films and not copying them because I feel, I'm comparing myself to them, like, oh, they're getting more views, so maybe I should try like them a little bit. I think all of that is a distraction because in the end of the day, like, it's my channel and I want to have zero obligations towards anyone to do anything. Like, I just want complete freedom to make whatever video I want. And the success of my YouTube channel right now comes from that indifference, that realization, and the doubling down on there's no point in doing any of it if I don't enjoy it. And I'm not going to, the more I do things for other people, the less I enjoy it. So why not protect that freedom?
So complete apathy.
I'm not
is the road to success.
All right. There's I see like Jenna Marbles is good. Like, I've got people I look up to who are like role models of what I'm doing. And then there's like people like Zuck, like Mark Zucker. Like, you don't want to be a complete robot. You don't want to be a weirdo. You don't want to just, and then, there's people who are just like, F everyone else. Like, I'm going to do whatever I want and be a terrible person. Like, no, like, you can't be a terrible person, like hurt people or like attack. There's just, the less I compare myself to other people in the landscape, the better. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, that's, I think, a general good outlook on life. Do not compare yourself to others, but you don't engage in comments or in, I don't know, emails or whatever that people send you, good or bad.
I do. But like I talked about, I'm experimenting with ways of designing my environment to foster good habits and destroy or just place out of mind, all the distractions. So whether that's taking my email off of the internet entirely, turning off DMs on Instagram, or 1 year ago, completely deleting Instagram and, seeing what life was like without Instagram for a whole month.
What was it like?
It was nice. I didn't need it. The pros of Instagram are random interactions, like people. It's just an easy way for people to reach out to you when they've never reached out. People could search my name and find me pretty easily compared to other places. And then there's this weird thing with like when you have a significant other, it's almost like you need, like, you can do it in WhatsApp or messages or whatever, but I don't know. Just like just having a significant other, it's like you need Instagram for my generation. I don't know, maybe.
No, 100. It's every generation. My parents have Instagram. Like, everyone has Instagram now. It's just it's multi-generational, from 12-year-olds to 80-year-olds and everything in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. But I'm sure figuring out what social media platforms to have is like a question that everyone our age kind of thinks about and obsesses about. I feel like if you go to brunch in any city, and over here, the conversation at a table between most people, at some point, they're going to be like fretting about where they're posting, where they're consuming social media. It's kind of exhausting, but it's important.
It is, man. It's and it's not going away. Like, I don't know if Instagram is going to be around in 10 years, but the idea of us interacting online in this sharing economy is not going away. It's only going to become more and more entrenched into our everyday lives. And when Clubhouse came out last year, I was on it and I was listening. I don't now. I don't. I think it's way too time consuming, and I don't like the platform, generally speaking. I mean, I don't want to say I don't like it. It's okay. It's not as good as I initially thought it was. But if you go in all the different rooms, the majority of them are talking about, oh, this is, imagine getting onto Instagram and Instagram had 10,000 people on, right? Like, they're looking at it as not a genuine way to connect, but they're looking at it as a way to network and to build an audience. And I don't know, I find that kind of disingenuous. I prefer authentic and genuine people. And if you're just there trying to build an audience for the sake of building an audience, not because you maybe have something to say or that there's some engagement that you're really interested in, just for the sake of building an audience, I don't know, it's a turnoff for me, you know?
Yeah, I guess I would say, why do you care what they're doing?
No, just because the whole premise of Clubhouse is to listen to other people, right? Like that's the premise. You're there and you're listening to these conversations of hopefully really smart people that have something to benefit. But if that's all you're there for, then I'm not interested in those conversations. That's all I'm saying.
You would be a little different than most people. You're a content creator, so you'd probably be broadcasting your conversation to your own community. So, I guess I would question why it matters so much what the rest of Clubhouse is doing, and comparing how you would conduct your Clubhouse sessions to other people. Like, there are some good people having good conversations on Clubhouse, but what we see a lot of is what you described.
And the good ones are amazing. The good ones are gems. I've actually had a couple of people on the podcast that I've heard in Clubhouse rooms. But that's the thing. It's just, there are gems, but because it's live and because it's ephemeral, it's not recorded, you have to be lucky enough to get into the room at the right time and not halfway through and get in on this really good conversation. And hopefully, it's not, I don't know, they don't bring another 50 people into the room and then it's just clattered. But I don't know. I guess that my whole thing about it was just because social media has become so prevalent and kids, or not kids, but younger people are trying to figure out what the best social media platform for them is. I just feel like it's become more of a let's grab an audience type of thing rather than an actual engagement, It's become vanity metrics.
Sure, but if they want to do that, that's completely fine. Like, I feel like the less you worry about why they're doing what they're doing, like all that matters is you and the community you're building, the content you're creating, and then what you consume. If you're choosing to consume, poor fast food information and diet, it's not going to be good. Yeah, you just have to get better. And sometimes it's good to know what's bad so that you can stay away from that and look for what's good, sure. But all that matters is what you consume and what you produce on social media platform.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it. I think it's one of the best ways for you to have like a conversation voice to voice with anyone in the world. And it just depends on what you want out of it. Like, you could want so many different types of things. Like, if you were doing a phone call with someone, but you wanted it to be broadcasted, like, that's better than just doing a private phone call. So it's it's whatever. Yeah. The less you worry about the feedback content, how many people are listening, what people are saying, just all of that feedback content, the better the product will be, I think.
I remember when I was on YouTube and I was looking for you, there was a video that came up. It was one of the first videos. And it was a guy that kind of did I guess, a breakdown of your videos. And, he was like, I don't know, he was okay. It wasn't like the most complimentary video. And then the top comment is you saying, I think you said something like spot on analysis. Thanks, dude. and I laughed because I don't know, it's not something you would expect someone to write. You know what I'm talking about?
I was kind of trolling a little bit. I think it's funny. Yeah, I saw that video. I can't remember anything he said in it though. But yeah, if people want to make videos about me, I guess that helps me in spreading the word. Hopefully it's good, but people can say whatever they want.
Yeah, no, it was a funny reaction. And then he kind of, I don't remember the exact words, but he was like, hey man, big fan. And it's funny when you get quote unquote get called out, all of a sudden, like the whole reaction or the whole vibe of that person changes a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was genuinely positive. I didn't get the vibe that it was like a hit piece or anything. And if someone is going out of the way to make content that gets, my role right now is to just make incentives and hooks for people. So if people go out of their way to create content that helps spread my brand and, bring more attention to my work, I'm going to reward them in some sense. And if it's just a simple, silly little comment that takes me 10 seconds or, 5 minutes of watching a video to give my feedback content, I guess that's my payment for them doing the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what point did you understand that this is something you can make a living off of now? Like, I can actually hike, go to amazing places, and make, a good amount of money off of it.
Yeah, I read on my website, I give a lot of recommendations for all the tools and services and gear I use to shoot, edit, hike, and stream. And I also added books. And one of the first books that I recommend that changed my life was Crush It by Gary Vee. And he kind of introduced the entire attention economy and how influencers can give, and then slowly start to receive back. And if you add and pile up a portfolio of work, it's kind of like collecting royalties after a while. So I knew that making videos online, whether it's review videos or wedding videos or just anything, just getting attention, it was going to be a slow stream, but eventually it would make money. So I've actually been uploading since like 2006, 2007. Oh, wow. I've had multiple different channels. I sold my wedding film school channel, which I think was like at 100,000 subs at that point. So I sold it as an asset to another YouTuber. So yeah, it's been a slow grind, and I kind of regret from not having like a very visible, easy to understand roadmap of like old videos. Like sometimes if you click on the oldest video on someone's channel, it's like, whoa, 7 years ago. Geez, this guy's been doing this for a while. Yeah. But I think I don't have that many old videos on my channel, so people don't see how long I've been doing it. But yeah, it's exponential. So at one point I was really happy to be getting like $200, $300 a month from AdSense from Google. And I was like, whoa, that's like a paycheck coming every month. Like I can kind of depend on that. That's crazy. And then that number just keeps going up. And I've gotten over a threshold of like, at this point, I'm not doing anything for the money. Like I'm making more than enough to save. So I've dedicated all of my time and energy into just obliterating any obligations and giving myself I already have a lot of freedom of creativity, freedom of expression. I can go anywhere, do whatever, but I'm just trying to have complete control over what I upload on my channel. Zero obligations.
Is it stable on YouTube or does it fluctuate?
It fluctuates, but as long as it's over a threshold, if you like it's more about runway at this point. It's like, how much money do you have saved up so that if you had to just eat into your savings, how much runway do you have? And I have 30 days a month. I have every single day I pick and choose what I do. So if most people had 30 days of free time to dedicate towards something, they'd figure out how to start making money from it. Like if you had 30 days to make one video, it'd be a banger of a video. So I've got runway to keep doing what I want to do. Yeah, for sure.
Was it like a period of time when you realized that, or was it just like, let's say, one video that just shot up, right? Like hit a couple of mil or whatever it was. And then from that point you were kind of coasting, or was it just a gradual grind over time?
Yeah, I would say in my wedding film school era, there was an aha moment. I was taking a trip to Puerto Rico just because it was the winter and I wanted some beach, just alone for a couple of days with no camera. I was just there with like my phone. And I looked at my Amazon affiliate sales. So you make a link on Amazon, you get someone to buy that thing, and you get like a 3 to 8% commission off of that sale. So if you're making a lot of YouTube videos with descriptions, you can put the links in there. And if it's a video about like the best lens to buy, people might buy that lens after watching that video. So
Yeah.
I once I saw that number reach like 6,000 a month, I was like, whoa, that is almost a full, like that's almost more than like my wedding business. Like, what if I just at least made one YouTube video every week or month? Like, then I wouldn't even have to work for anyone. I could just do what I want and upload when I want. So that was definitely an aha moment. And once you reach that threshold of like earning enough to just do what you want, it snowballs from there because you create bigger and better stuff. Your quality and your quantity goes up and you make more money. So it's like, well, okay. Threshold.
And then people probably start reaching out, sponsors probably start reaching out, people want to collaborate, I'm assuming, right? And then like you said, that also snowballs and that also compounds.
Yeah. So Google, Amazon, and then the third income bucket was third party affiliate and sponsorship, usually in the form of integrated ads. So just placing a 30 to 60 second ad in any video. Sometimes it makes sense for the video. Sometimes it's just like, hello, fresh in a hiking video.
Yeah.
But I've gone through eras and I've learned through, going through the hard work of the good and the bad of working and making money. And I've definitely come out on the other end wanting more creative freedom and just to move slower and be quieter and to not always go for the short-term money. I'm definitely cutting all short-term business sponsorships out of my life. Just doing long-term ones right now. Yeah.
Oh, it's too much of a headache to, I don't know, the new cycle of ads all the time. You just want to do like long relationships with sponsors.
Yeah. So I'm aiming at dedicated videos more so than integrated ads at this point. And the main threshold is, does your involvement with the video make it better?
I like that.
And then past that point, we can discuss how or what the money points are, but still that's always the first question that they have to get past.
I guess nothing's ever born in a vacuum. Are there people that inspired you to kind of create and build this type of, particular style that you have?
Yeah. I've been watching YouTube for a while. I definitely watch it more than any other social media platform or consume content on it. Julian and Jenna, definitely YouTube OGs. Streaming, gaming, YouTube videos that weren't for the money, more so just for the art of expression and authenticity. Will Derbyshire in the UK, like once again, not doing it for the money, more for the expression of sharing his life in a creative way.
Yeah.
I mentioned Gary Vee at the beginning, but a lot of my friends here in the city were more in the tech sphere, in startups.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always fascinated with marketers and how people like. I dated someone from VaynerMedia, and definitely entrenched myself into the culture of like the Gary Vee team. Yeah, so little bits of tech startup investment, and then good large sections of YouTube, and definitely making some friends here in the city. Like it was great getting to know Sarah Dici and kind of working alongside her. And yeah.
Are you on the NFT bandwagon like Gary Vee?
No, I've looked into it. I understand it. I like the technology. It's a small section of a large trend that's, for the good. Yeah, decentralization and digitalization and metaverse, move everything to the internet. I'm just not a collector. I try not to participate in status games of trying to look cooler because I have something. It's hard. It would be hard for me to engage in a community that I don't understand. It's like once I realized that kind of like the traditional commercialized version of love and marriage, and the reason why people have big weddings kind of destroyed my illusion of weddings and marriage, and that's kind of why I moved away from that industry. It's like minimalism kind of destroys the idea of collecting art or going to clubs or showing off or buying fancy cars. And I would say even owning NFTs falls into that for me. So
Yeah. It's kind of like when you work at a restaurant and you see how they make the food. You're like, we shouldn't go eat there. It's kind of like I've seen what happens in the back. You don't want to eat there. Trust me.
yeah, I'm not doubting how it'll survive, and it'll go through different waves. But it'll be a thing. But I just it's like organized sports. Like a lot of people get a lot out of watching football and all of that every weekend or whatnot, but it just is a distraction for me.
Yeah. Would you ever want to do like a full, feature film, like 90-minute type of nature documentary, or maybe just, a larger vision of what you're currently doing?
I'm not sure. I do like long form compared to short. I think YouTube is a great home for what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more practiced at video than other forms of media like writing or photography or music creation. So I'd probably stick with the sunk cost of investing in the equipment and practicing those skills. But will it become a feature film? I think if I did, I would just do it. I would completely always fund it myself, or with fundraising on like Kickstarter or something, and then just upload and distribute it myself on YouTube. So I know how I could do it, and I could do it. It's just all that matters is if I want to do it. Like if I really wanted to make a feature film like next week, I would go and do it.
Yeah.
Which I think is exciting because at the beginning of my career, I didn't understand the power of these platforms for individual creators. Like if you want to make a TV series, just start doing it. Like just go shoot the pilot in any way, and that'll convince people to help you make another pilot better. So yeah, feature film.
Shit, I'd watch it, man.
I don't know. It always just comes back to if I want to do it. Like I would never want to make a feature film because other people want me to make a feature film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What
I'm gonna be the most frustrating person to talk to. I swear to God.
No, dude, I like it. You are who you are, and you're not trying to be anyone else, and that's refreshing because most people are trying to be someone else that they're actually not.
Yeah, I'd say that's more helpful when you're starting out, trying to figure out who you are. But yeah, most everyone will get tired very quickly down the road.
Yeah, just be who you are, man. Whatever that is, eventually people, and I think this is true for like content creation as well. Like if you're authentic, if you are who you are, that'll make you stand out in the crowd usually, because a lot of people are just trying to copy and they're seeing what's popular and they're trying to emulate or copy that. If you're just unique, if you are who you are, if you really don't care, and to levels, obviously, I think that's gonna be a strength, not a weakness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. Yep, always comes down to trust. If people feel like they can trust your word, authenticity breeds reputation. Yeah,
100%. Your videos are almost, I don't know if someone's told you this, but they're almost like ASMR videos, right? Because you have all the nature sounds, and it's like it's almost like a soundtrack of nature, and it's very calming. And because you either don't talk at all or very little, which is very different because most outdoor videos are kind of like get you pumped, like they have like live music and it's energetic, and it's almost like an extension of your personality, like those type of videos. Was that like something, again, like a conscious choice that you put, or is that just this is what I like to do and therefore this is what I'm going to do?
yeah. I think it was definitely a conscious choice to reflect how I felt in those places. I think it would be a bit Yeah, being loud in a place that's quiet, being crazy in a place that's still would be a bit of a contradiction. So, in a sense, I wanted to match my experience. Most of these videos are just trying to get my honest documentation of what it was like out there hiking. And it is boring sometimes. Yeah, that's just like a thing about hiking. And
Yeah.
that can be one of the reasons why it's lovely to be out there, because you can kind of meditate while walking and just tune out the voice of society, and it helps you tune out your own voice so that you finally do have some peace and quiet. And a lot of people just don't want to show boring things on YouTube. So I guess it's different in that sense, like doubling down on that. And yeah, ASMR is kind of boring, but from that, it's nice.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's boring. Not ASMR. ASMR is a little boring, but I wouldn't say your videos are boring. There are a few that literally I had like my hairs on the back of my head or on my arm like stand up, because it was just like, I guess I this is a question I could ask you, but do you have places that take your breath away, like literally? Because, natural wonders are what make poets and great painters, and they inspire songs and books, really, right? Like you have some of the most, prolific painters and everything. It's nature, right? It's women as well, but nature, a lot of it. So do you have that sometimes? Like, I'm not a religious person at all, but sometimes when you go to like beautiful places, it's like, I could see like why people get spiritual about these places.
Yeah. The easiest way to feel that for most people is to just stand on the edge of an ocean. I think that's the quickest, easiest way to feel that, to see that endless horizon and you feel small. It changes your perspective. Because like most people can have these feelings on their couch in their apartment if they stop to really think about what all of this is. And in those moments, you expand your sphere of understanding to like the whole universe, and then you can kind of really instantly feel insignificant and like nothing matters. And then from that, you can feel very powerful, because like just the immediate you have control over, and it's like beautiful and none of it matters, so it's all great. So yeah, when you're in nature, that's kind of always happening. I'm always constantly comparing my experiences to other experiences, which can be a bad thing. As much as I can, I want to be in the moment and just appreciate things as they are. But yeah, it's kind of impossible not to compare my most recent hike in Big Bend, which was uneventful compared to almost every other hike I've ever done, and especially something in like Nepal, like the Nepalese mountains, and Iceland with the beautiful cliffs. So it's a hard balance of finding the beauty in every different type of hike versus having this kind of, the more I see, the more I'll be disappointed in a sense. But there's like an endless amount of different places to see. Unless I can stop comparing it to other places, it might be a problem down the road. It's weird. And I've been thinking about this whole idea of not making experiences anything different than like eating food or consuming media or anything else. It's like we're consuming experiences, and like there's junk food, there's healthy experiences, and then if you just eat it, like this is definitely an idea that I'm working on in my head, so I can't express it very fully, but there is a downside that I'm exploring to just going around the world and seeing everything. Like, I think it's this magical thing that everyone like aspires to be, like a world traveler, a nomad. But I think you can fall down the exact same hole of just consumerism when it comes to experiences. So that's something that I'm going to try to learn from smart people about, and learn how to articulate much better on a podcast like this. So that's why I appreciate these conversations, because I will walk, I'll read, I'll consume and try to learn, but it's only as good as you can defend it and express it to someone else with your voice. Like nothing, like ideas are kind of dog shit until you can like fully express them in an articulate way. And then if they don't make sense, like in our challenge to defend them and like help make them more sense. So thank you.
I've been shut down a couple of times on my own podcast by ideas that I held before, so I understand. But I think travel, I actually, and again, like this is not something fully thought out, but I do think the opposite. Actually, I think travel is probably one of the best things you can do. Like if you're gonna put your money anywhere, put it on experiences. I think and again, like there are different ways to travel. You can go like to maybe a country and then you're in a hotel the whole time, and from the hotel you go to the beach and back to the hotel, and then you travel back home, and you didn't really experience much. You saw a nice beach. But if you travel kind of like how you travel, or some of the other people that travel that really entrench themselves in places, and they see the natural beauties, and they talk to people, and they eat the local food, and they see a whole new world in a way, because you only, if you grew up in a certain X, you only know about X, and your culture is X, and your food is X, and the people around you, everyone's kind of the same. You go out of that into a new place and like, holy shit, there's a whole other world. It's like the going to the moon, right? There's a whole other world, and people act different and talk different, and they eat different things, and their value systems may be a little bit different, and there's natural wonders here that I never even heard of. So I think it's the most eye-opening thing that you can probably do.
Yeah, so that's a good personal growth. I would say what I'm worried about is doing that without documenting and sharing it with other people. I think it's one thing for everyone to want to go out and travel and experience these wonderful things, but I don't think most people would do it if they couldn't share photos and video and talk about the experience with other people and kind of use it as a status symbol, to talk about how I had such a wonderful time in Bali and I'm like a changed person. Like, cause yeah, self-reflecting, it'd be very hard for me to do all of these trips if I was not making a YouTube video, if I wasn't documenting and sharing that experience with others, and then also like making money while doing it. Like it would, if I had to not bring a camera and not tell anyone I was doing it and not have any documentation, it would kind of be hell. It would be very hard. It would be very hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm self-aware of. And it's the more I understand why that is, the more I can kind of gain some control over it. It's very much so similar to like being alone. Like it sucks, but if you can kind of conquer that feeling and get past it, you're much stronger for doing so. So I'm very interested in going three levels deep in the act of being a consumer of global international experiences and what that does for me ultimately.
Do you sometimes feel, because you do majority of your hikes solo, so that means you're the ones carrying everything, you're the one shooting everything. Do you sometimes feel like, because this is something I sometimes feel, I'm hiking, right? And then I'll stop every X amount of minutes and I'm taking photos, or I'm looking, oh, this is a good, and I'll tell my wife, oh, stand here for a sec, or, and she's like, just put the camera away. You're losing the moment in a sense, right? And for you, I mean, perhaps it's a little bit different because that's obviously your job to document it. But do you feel that sometimes maybe because you have to view everything through the lens, you're not in the moment per se?
Yeah, this is definitely a cliche for people to talk about at this point. It's always funny. It is a thing though. It's like, it's so weird because like a year ago, I would think I'd be worrying about this a lot from that perspective. But now after doing these hiking videos for a year and being asked this question, it's just funny because I'm catching myself almost like in a conversation that I've had in the past, but now I'm standing off to the side and I can see like everything. It's like when Neo can like see the Matrix,
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I just talked about, it's a part of my job. I'm making money. I'm so entrenched. I got a lot of sunk value in creating these videos. So documenting, always having the camera when I'm traveling. I basically hang out and relax when I'm here in the city. And I only work on work trips when I'm traveling to shoot these videos. So it's like as soon as I book the Uber to get to the airport and I have the camera in hand, like I'm in work mode and I'm documenting and trying to frack the experience for every drop of value.
Yeah.
Like every move that I make on this trip is ultimately to get the best footage. But I still do enjoy what I'm doing. Like I will only book a trip if I think it's interesting, whether it's productive for my character, like it'll challenge me and I want to know if I can overcome that, or it's a place I've never seen and I'm just like curious. So I'll have fun, but I'm working. And going back to the other idea, it's like, is there a point where I could get to where I'm literally going on these trips without like needing it to do something for someone else or to make money? Like I would love to get to a point where I can go on a trip and not feel the need to document it or to share it.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult though. It's a challenge.
Well, it's a challenge for everyone, right? I feel like we're all media companies at this point. So, no one goes to brunch without documenting their waffles, and no one goes to Barbados without documenting the flight and the trip and the hotel and showing how beautiful everything is. Like we're all media companies in evolution. So yeah, again, it's just going to be more. It's just going to be more entrenched, more. I don't know.
But the threshold, though, I think there's a moment when people are making enough money, they don't need to do more. They can transfer that focus and energy into gaining autonomy and doing what they actually want to do and not selling their audience, their time, renting out their time for someone else, a business, a product, a service. And I think that's a magical thing, but it is a fork in the road. And I see so many people who get success on YouTube. They're getting attention, more attention than they expect or deserve, whatever, regardless. And they're also making more than enough money to keep doing what they want to do with zero obligation. Like they don't have to do ads, they don't have to do anything, but they do bigger and bigger ads. They crave more and more attention, and all of their problems just balloon with their success. And it's this like more money, more problems. And I saw that so much. I was fascinated with it. I poured into like success stories and like here and after the blow up and like what, just like Tony Hawk's story. And all these people's stories kind of made me so scared that it would happen to me. So I dedicated a lot of time and attention to like, how can I steer my life away from that just more money, more problems mentality, and get to a point where the wiser I get, the quieter I get, the more success I have, the less I need it, and become more indifferent and focused on the things that actually do matter instead of playing status games like I see everyone else doing.
Yeah, status games, vanity metrics, that's a very real thing. And to your point earlier, I think that attention and power are very addictive. I think that people, even when they get to a status where they don't need to sell their life or let us into their lives, they still do it because that attention, those clicks, those likes, those views, they're like people, unconsciously, but they're like, people love me still. People, I'm desired, I'm liked. And that's very hard. That's probably harder to give up than money. I think people are like, I'm fine, I don't need the money. But the attention is very hard to give up, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think most people don't actually know what they want. And because they don't have that core foundation, that understanding, they defer that choice to what society tells them what they should want. And that is just more attention, more money, more power.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's minimalism. That's like not letting other people make decisions for you, like testing it yourself and coming up to that decision on your own through iterations, from test periods, from like failures, like reflecting on that analysis. So yeah, just don't take anything. Like, I guess being a skeptic is even more core than being a minimalist at this point.
Yeah, you seem to be wise beyond your years. You have a very quiet mind, a very I don't know, a solid foundation that I think probably most people your age don't have. I don't know if that's because all that time out in nature by yourself, being introspective, but whatever
I
it
have
is.
nothing but time to worry about these things. And I'm 30. I'm not that young. Like 30 is getting there. So, you know, I've learned a lot in the last, it's just getting faster and faster. Like I feel like time is moving faster and I'm learning more and more. And a full year has gone by since it's almost been 2 years of shooting hiking videos. So it's getting kind of crazy at this point.
You had a video in Nepal, which you mentioned earlier. Dude, I was like, the whole video, I was like, dude, I hope he adopts that dog. There was a dog that followed you the whole way. And
Yeah.
what was that story? Why does he do that with all the tourists, or he just had a connection with you?
Yeah, most places in Peru have dogs. Some places like Tel Aviv, some cities just have cats. It's strange. Like everywhere outside the US in cities and
Mhm.
like farms, there's just animals everywhere.
Yeah.
So the hike in Nepal was great because the first day, this little white dog, which I named Ghost, just started following me. Maybe because I gave him food or not, I can't remember. But
Mhm.
I distinctly remember like not trying to like keep Ghost. I felt this desire to just let Ghost do his thing, and like I'll feed him when I can, but I'm not going to be like, come on Ghost, like come. Like I'm just going to keep hiking, and if he follows, he follows, and he
Yeah.
did for multiple days. And up at the top, well, yeah, I was doing my tripod thing where I'd set up the camera on a tripod, walk past, and then turn around and go get it. And I do remember Ghost being so confused and almost like kind of like sassy, like giving me looks and little barks, like, why are you making me hike twice?
Yeah.
Like sometimes Ghost would just wait at where I turned around and just like tilt head look at me as I went back to get the camera.
Like, what is
Um,
this human doing?
yeah. So I had this tendency, I didn't want to control Ghost. This is Ghost's home. He probably has climbed this mountain up and down the trail probably hundreds of times, just following hikers,
Mhm.
which is a pretty good life for Ghost. You know, lots of exercise, lots of
Yeah.
nature, open space, free food. And if it's cold, all he has to do is just go down the trail. If it's hot, go up the trail.
Yeah.
Like hiking in mountains with elevation is like a natural air conditioner because all you have to do is just go up or down, and the temperature drops or raises. I should have brought him home. I didn't. I thought that would be ridiculous, like stealing a dog from his home
Yeah.
and just like taking. But someone sent me a Facebook article about photos of an American woman who hiked there a couple days after me and took Ghost. So she had photos in the
Oh, she did?
airport of like her and Ghost, and was like, I adopted this Nepalese dog. I'm like, oh, okay. I just uploaded this video, like, and kind of made the advertisement that if you go on this Mardi Hamal trek in Nepal, like you might run into ghosts. Like that would have been such a great experience for people who watched the video, booked the trip themselves, did the hike, and like ran
Yeah,
into
yeah.
ghosts.
That's like seeing a celebrity.
Yeah, that would be
No
so
more.
fun, but no more.
Well,
Maybe another white dog will be there and like look the same.
yeah.
I should have like blurred Ghost's face so it could have been any dog.
If I can do my dad joke, you could say that he ghosted them.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah. And it's funny because everyone had their own names for the dog because he's obviously known on the mountain. So I was calling him Ghost, but other people were like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Ghost. Yeah, that's Ghost.
That is one of the things, right? Like, I don't know. Is he is he better off there than, in an apartment in New York City where he's going to be sleeping 18 hours a day, going out on maybe an hour a day hike? Or is it better? But like, I don't know how his life is there, just based on that one video. But I don't know. What is your opinion? You think he's better off there?
I can only reflect on what I think. And I felt the need to just leave him be and not to, be a person who came into a place. I feel like it would be a little disrespectful to gain ownership over something natural that you found in another country. But worrying about whether it's right or wrong, or if she was correct or not, and doing that, I think is like a distraction.
Yeah. Well, Craig,
do you have a dog?
I have 2 dogs.
What?
Yeah,
2 dogs?
2 dogs, man. Yeah,
man.
And we're thinking about getting a third, but I think we'll wait till we move out of where we are now, and maybe in the new place. If we have like a little bit of a bigger house, we'll get a third.
Did you get them when they were puppies?
So, yeah, I have my one dog, Taco. He's been with me now. He's going to be, 15 or 14? I think 14. Yeah, he's going to be 14 at the end of the month. And I've had him since he was 3 months old. And our other dog, we got up in Harlem in the ACC when she was, about 3 months old. And now she's 6. So, wow, they're great dogs.
Yeah, dogs, it's the best when they can play with each other. I feel like that's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to probably get a dog soon. Once we move into our new apartment in the Lower East Side. And I'll have unlimited free time just to hang out and train the dog and chill. If the dog can go on walks in the park with me and go for runs and maybe the occasional, next state or New York State hike, that'd be fun.
Do you have a dog in mind?
No, my girlfriend has more. Like, she has specific breeds she would like. Like, she would like a mini Aussie, but I feel like it's kind of a meme for millennial couples to get a mini Aussie.
Yeah.
At this point. So I've been looking at shelters. It's just, we'll figure it out once we get the new apartment. That's kind of why we're moving. It allows dogs, and I'm excited for it. Yeah,
I'm biased, but I love a good pit bull. So if you guys are into that, pit bulls are the best, man. They're like at home, they sleep all day, but when they're outside, they have enough energy to go on runs, and they're the best dogs in my opinion.
You have 2 of them?
One's a pit bull, the other is a pointer pit bull mix. I think he's got some boxer. I don't know. He's like a mutt. He's got
blocky dog.
One of them, yeah. The other one, he's an anomaly. We don't know. I might do one of those DNA tests on him, but I don't know how accurate those are.
Yeah, he is whatever you want him to be.
Exactly. He's a German Shepherd, whatever.
Yeah. I've joked about different ways that I control people with YouTube videos. Like, I want to do a dog only hike where I set up all the shots, but it's just the dog hiking and you never see me. Like, people are like, because there's just so many silly comments. Like, first off, leaving a comment on a YouTube video is kind of funny at this point.
Yeah.
But then again, I get so many comments that are just like, 50-mile hike, he walked 100 miles because he had to go back to get the camera. It's like twice. Like, I get that comment every single day, and it'll never, like, I've given up on, like, I just need to just take those keywords and just block them in my comment blocker, so I just never see them. But if I did a dog hiking video, like, I just foresee that being like the number one comment that's like, dog hiking, how could dog set up camera by itself? Like, there must have been another person. I'll be like, no, it's just a dog. Like, bruh.
He just came back with the equipment when he was done, and that was it. I trained him well. What can I say?
Okay, fine. I'll admit there was another dog there filming the other dog. Okay, fine. You got me.
Yeah, he set up the tripod. It's just, dogs are smart now, man. What can you say?
I've also seen videos with like 3 huskies on hikes, and that's entertaining to me. I've done a little bit of digging through like what existing YouTube channels have had success with dog hiking content, and there's not that many. There's people going on hikes every so often, but there's no like dog only hiking ASMR videos. There's no like,
dude, there you go. You can corner the market.
Yeah, that would be fun to try out and do.
Yeah.
Lots more dog content probably in the future.
Yeah, I mean, they're the best, man. They honestly, like, we try to go on hikes with them a lot, and they definitely. And this is a cliche because everyone said it, but I've had dogs for 14 years. I didn't just adopt one last year, but I definitely have realized how much they add to your life, especially since COVID and the lockdown. They add a lot of value, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward. Just
Yeah.
want a best friend, a little bud.
I just want a friend.
Dog friends are the best friends.
100%, man.
You know, it's kind of a meme that there's always a dog in my hiking videos for a reason. Like I'm searching them out. I don't, they're the best characters to interview for a silent hiking video. Like I can't put the camera in front of anyone else's face. I don't care about what they have to say, but
just
I like
don't
interviewing
bark.
the dogs.
Don't bark, dude. Just don't bark.
Don't woof. Woof.
Yeah. You're ruining the ambience. Kraig, this was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I know you weren't sure about it, but I hope you enjoyed the podcast as well.
Not sure about it. No, I just told you that if I wanted to end the conversation, I would tell you. I'm very upfront with, it is just what it is.
Yeah.
I am curious what big problems you're working on right now. Like what problems are you trying to solve? I feel like this is a list that everyone should always have in the back of their mind, like the top 3 problems that they're trying to solve in different ways. Because I think it's kind of a game. It's kind of fun. It's like a Sudoku to try to solve other people's problems for them.
Yeah, that's interesting. Are you talking the big world problems or my own things that I am trying to solve and conquer? And
let's close the sphere a little bit, just to your own problems.
My own,
not climate change.
Okay. Yeah,
that could be your own problem. I don't know.
Could be.
If you're taking that on the back of your shoulders, hot damn! It's like
that's all.
You and Bill Gates.
Yeah, me and Bill together, we're spreading the vaccine. I mean, I'm doing a few things. Like I told you earlier, in the beginning of the year, I was focused on, I want to say like 7 or 8 different things, and I was not giving any of them my full attention. Obviously, I've kind of narrowed it down, and it's not like I forgot those things. I want to circle back to them. I think maybe later in the year or next year. But right now, focusing on this podcast, focusing on a book that I am, hopefully it's going to be done in about a month or so, that I've been writing for about a year.
So what's the minimum viable product on your book? Are you tweeting?
I'm not doing any. I'm actually kind of surprised I said it, but this is literally the first time I've talked about. No one knows that I'm writing this book except my wife. This has just been my own project it's kind of like it's a memoir, something very personal that happened to me, and I think it's a great story. I think people will love it. So it's just personal personal project that I've been working on. And
I'm fascinated in how people get to that point, because a book is a massive undertaking. A lot of people talk about doing it, but few actually do it, and fewer of those people actually have success and make money from books.
Yeah,
and I've always looked at it like it should almost be a success before it's a success. I always think about like minimum viable product. So if you're writing a book, it's almost like tweet the ideas you're thinking about writing into outlines, and then those outlines should be successful blog articles on their own. And then once those blog articles, you get enough of those successful blog articles, you kind of form them into chapters into a book. And I love this idea of kind of doing all of the work for the big endeavor publicly, so that it can be iterated and tested and upvoted or downvoted. And then you kind of just coalesce it together until it's worthy of being a single publication. So I could compare it to like videos, but it's pretty straightforward when it comes to words. Yeah. And it's interesting that you have this voice audio. Well, it's audio right now, but you're hoping to do video with the podcast. Yeah,
I think once we get out of where we're living right now and to the next spot where I could set up a little bit more of a studio-like vibe, I'll move into video.
Because you could do video right now.
In theory, yes, but you know...
Streaming, I'm saying.
Yeah, you can't, but I could. Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was comparing like doing the work of creating a book in the public sphere would help it, and compared to like what you're doing is kind of like the private one-on-one of a streamer. I see the similarities between podcast and streaming as so interlinked. Like, have you thought about streaming? Because I feel like that's even another layer on top of recording the video and uploading the video.
I haven't thought about streaming just because the amount of times I've had technical issues on podcasts where I would have to splice together the episode, and a lot of guests are not like I've had like people specifically say like, I want to make sure we're not doing like live streaming, or I want to make sure we're not doing video. So certain guests are like very picky about what kind of content they're a part of. And seems like more people are comfortable with audio. So yeah, I want to do video. I want to do more like we're doing right now. And for people who are just hearing, right, we can both see each other, and just put this type of video out on YouTube. But again, like I want to make your side looks very nice. My side does not. So that's something I want to work on. I want to make it just a little nicer. And I don't have that option, I think, right now where we are.
Okay. I would say minimum viable product, just at least do the easiest, cheapest, fastest version of what you're hoping to do down the road, and just build upon those successes and iterate and make it better. And instead of like hoping to do it perfectly from the start, I think it's better if you start working on it publicly and work on it and better, because it'll never be perfect.
No,
it'll. And what's most important are just the ideas worth talking about. Like, as long as you're having conversations that are valuable and expressing and doing what you want, like the way that people consume it is less important than the content.
Mm-hmm.
So just making it available for anyone to consume in any way is better. And if you're doing the work of like conducting this interview, like why not capitalize and share that? And as far as what people allow and are willing to do, live versus recorded, or just even audio versus video, that's up to you. You could only pick people who are down and understand the value of doing it live. And I personally think I expect everything. So like as soon as we hit the video call, like I would expect you to hit recording and just record everything.
Okay.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
And I think it also speaks to like authenticity. Like anything I say is a reflection of who I am. So if I say it, I say it. If I don't, I wouldn't want to hide or filter that, because that would just be lying. So
yeah. No, I give people that come to me for advice the same advice you just gave me. So it's funny because I always say like, whatever it is that you're gonna do, it's not gonna be perfect. Just roll it out and build on it as you go. I just don't like to take my own advice sometimes.
But yeah, reflecting on that and realizing is the first step for sure. And you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's just the more that you design your environment towards the good things, away from the bad things, the better. Yeah, I think podcasts are fun though. Yeah, because I've gone through this whole self-reflection of like, why do I even say yes to guesting on other people's podcasts? Because I have my own, and if I have something that's worth saying, I will just go live and say it on my own. Like, what is the benefit of using other people's platforms? So yeah, thinking about that has been important. You're kind of offloading some of the work of setting up this conversation. Facilitating the conversation is important. So it's probably much harder for me to write an outline, to know what I'm going to say, and then perform it by myself is almost like a play. There's like a play aspect, a performance theater performance that comes with that, to make it interesting, but also to convey it in a real way. But being able to talk to someone like this kind of offloads that work. And then you also have to edit and upload and distribute it. So that's it's automated work as well. Yeah. Do I need like new audience, like the overlapping of my audience with your audience? Like that's not a motivating factor for me to like gain new followers because someone who didn't know who I was heard me on your audience. Like that's not as important. I don't get too much value out of that personally. I'm not making money from doing something like this. It's more so like this is the type of work I would like to do on my own channel, but I'm lazy and I don't want to do the work. So I'm offloading that to you a little bit. So I guess that's probably why I would say yes to this. And then anything on top of that foundation, that honesty, that's just is what it is. That's why I did it. Like getting to know you is just extra wonderful stuff on top of that foundation. And, kind of expressing my ideas and getting better at talking about the things that I think about is also a positive on top of that. So I guess that's why I would do something like this. And I'm curious to know why you're doing your podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember if this was a whole hour and a half ago. I don't remember if we talked on air or off air about this, but I think because it gives you such strict boundaries, right? Like you're on, like, okay, now you have to talk, and I would not be able to have a full-on hour and a half conversation with you or my guest next week, who is Peter Singer, who's I've looked up to for many years, or all the other amazing guests I've had on. They would not take an hour or 2 hour out of their busy schedule to talk to me if there wasn't some benefit for me as a platform to voice them, right? Like they're taking this time because they're like, okay, I can get my word out, and even if 2 people hear me or 20,000 people hear me, that's amazing. And again, like this is a great, the word networking has bad connotations, but it's a great place or opportunity to meet amazing people. And because I'm not working for anybody, like you say, there's no one telling me what to do. There's no editor. I pick and choose. And I pick and choose people who specifically are interesting to me. It makes it much more interesting to me. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking to people who I'm actually interested. I don't have an editor or producer telling me, hey, you should have Kraig on because he's got a big following. I care about that less. I've had actually not many, but a couple of emails from people with a decent following. And I was like, hey, it might not be the right time because I really wasn't interested. I'm like, I don't want to do a whole hour and a half with someone that I don't have that interest in. So for me, that's a big part of it.
Yeah. I like comparing things like this to almost like a one-on-one game in basketball or maybe like a tennis match or something. It's kind of like we have set parameters, set rules, kind of. And it's like I could practice by myself, but it's just fun to like go back and forth. It's almost like a game. So I think it's fun to have conversations like this with set parameters. The more that we analyze, like, what are we actually getting out of it? What is the other person getting out of it? And just understanding why we do the things we do, I think is important. So I'm glad you see that.
Yeah, dude, when I get up after a good podcast, I'm energized for like the whole day. I'm literally like bouncing off the wall because I got that energy, even though I'm not physically with someone. I got all that good energy from someone, for an hour or 2 hours, and I vibed with that person. I connected with that person. We got into some really interesting conversations. I learned something. A lot of times I'll learn something that I wasn't aware of earlier. So that's another plus point. So you pack that all together. It's just an amazing experience. I think more people should try and do it. I know there's like 2 million podcasts out there, but like out of those 2 million, the amount that are actually, I think, what was the number? I may be botching these numbers, but roughly speaking, I think the amount of like over 10 episodes, that like podcasts that have more than 10 episodes, it goes down to like 500,000 podcasts. So majority of them, they start off, they don't really go because it's a lot of hard work. It's more work than they thought. But I think if you continue, I think it's an amazing experience, again, for people that are into it.
How would the podcast change if you were making more money than you're making right now just with the podcast?
I don't think it would change. I mean, like I said, I would put more into video. But other than that, I actually kind of like the audio experience, to be honest. It's kind of like the difference between seeing, reading the book and seeing the film, right? It's like it's in back in the day when I used to commute to work on the subway, I used to listen to the audio, and in my head I would visualize, right, everything that they were saying, versus seeing it on video. It's not the same. Not that one is bad and one is good. It's just I like both aspects of it.
Yeah, that is interesting, because you would think more data, more information, more understanding. It's a richer experience. Like text is one thing, voice is a layer upon that, and then video is another layer of data. But I think you're right. There is some hidden value that comes from using your imagination to kind of paint your own picture of what is actually going on and what that looks like.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah. Huh. And I think podcast listeners tend to listen for longer, from the data that I've read. It's because they get entrenched in it, right? They'll be doing, let's say, a workout, or they're cooking, or they're on the subway, or they're in their car. They have a lot of time to listen to like a full long form 90-minute podcast, where, sitting in front of your computer watching, unless it's, I don't know, again, a Joe Rogan or something like that, most people are not going to watch 90 minutes of a video podcast on YouTube. Most people,
Yeah, I feel like it's a distraction to worry about that, though.
Yeah.
For me at this point, I wish there was a setting where I could click on or off. Like get rid of view count, get rid of metrics, get rid of sub count, get rid of all comments, get rid of all feedback content. And the only metric I have for success of what I'm doing is a green light or a red light. And that is your income higher or lower than your runway, like your burn rate, I guess. Like, as long as I'm making money, enough money to live the life I want to do and have freedom, like complete free days. I want to just create whatever I create, and I don't want any of the metrics to get in the way. Like, yeah. That's an aspiration.
That's your next social media platform right there.
Yeah, we'll see how long Instagram lasts, to be honest. Unless they get a Clubhouse clone, I'm leaning towards getting rid of it again.
It's coming. Twitter already did one. It's a matter of time till Instagram. I know they're working on it, so it'll probably be out in the next few months.
Yeah. I'm excited about YouTube. That's kind of old news at this point. I'm more excited about streaming. I'm very interested in, if there's anything I ever have to say, doing it in the rawest, the most authentic, immediate way. That's also simple. Like, it's pretty simple for me just to go live at any point with no scheduling, tell exactly my audience what I want them to know, get some kind of honest, real-time feedback so that I can like adjust or illustrate, and then just do Q&A just to kind of fill the void of people like fighting to get my attention. And then that's it. Streaming is this beautiful thing. Like, once you get over this threshold of like the uncanny valley of people engaging, once people are legitimately fighting for your attention, it's a magical thing. Because like, we've all been there, like the stream channel or the Clubhouse or just whatever, where there's just not enough people caring, so that there's lapses and like holes where it's like awkward. And a lot of times that will just disintegrate the conversation, and people will get embarrassed. And it's like they come out of character, and you see the moderator, the creator, the streamer as like a person who cares about like how much people are engaging and watching, and it just destroys itself. But once you're past that moment of people engaging, if there's too much chatter, too much feedback content, and no one can get their question heard, or you can switch it to like membership only chat, where only people who are paying $10 a month can show and fight for attention. So that creates a filter upon that. And then once there's too much chatter with that, you can only see questions from people who donate, and it pops up and reads it. So you can just keep adding filter as the demand goes up. And I don't know, I think it like applies market forces to your time and attention. And yeah, you like no one's telling you it's permissionless, it's beautiful, it's lovely. I'm excited about it. It scales.
I love it. I love it. Direct to consumer.
Hopefully I can get you excited about streaming in some way, at least just to think about it.
Dude, man, I'm always open to everything. I just haven't tested it out, to be honest. I'm a little slow to some of the new technologies, unfortunately. Even though like I am aware of them, I'm just slow to just exercising them, I guess, in my daily stuff. But
sure, you can do whatever you want.
It's a democratic country.
Don't even get me down that rabbit hole.
No. We'll do episode 2 and we'll talk all about politics. Don't worry about it.
Because you were reading Naval. You don't read Yuval Noah Harari as well?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've read all 3 of his books. Yeah.
Dude, that's chapter 2. Don't even get me down that rabbit hole.
No, next time. Next time.
Yeah, thanks for this. This was good.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate it. So people they're going to look forward to your next video. You said you're going to go Peru, right?
I'm going to go to Mount Whitney in California and summit the highest mountain in the lower 48 states.
Nice.
And then I'm going to go to Peru and summit like 7 passes between even taller mountains that are higher than Mount Whitney. So I'm doing Mount Whitney to get a sense of my altitude sickness tolerance. And if I'm successful with Mount Whitney, I feel much more confident about this ambitious hike in Peru, which honestly is going to be dangerous and the hardest thing I've ever done.
Well, dude, I wish you the best of luck, man. I'm looking forward to seeing those videos when they come out.
The stakes have raised. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we can do some mountains sometime later this year or next year. I'm definitely down to do that.
Word. Cheers.